Faalavelave, and welcome back to Behind the Lava Lava podcast. I'm your host, Michael Tan, and joining me today are Mifoti Afala and Spencer Harmon. We're just gonna chop it up, and jump straight into it. It's been a little while. We've been on a little break, and now we're back to it. So how have you guys been?
Things been good, just doing my summer training with the army, just getting resituated with all of that, and just really I don't do much, just work and chill, work and mix. That's all. That's my only routine. But no, but we had a family reunion, which was nice. Got to see a lot of the family that I don't get to cross paths with too often. So that was really good. So that's pretty much it for my summer.
How about you, T?
Been cool. Just more work, a lot of OT. I got to go to a coach's clinic over with the Jazz and meet Coach Hardy himself. So that was a pretty awesome opportunity. Never got to go to that type of clinic with that level of coaching. That was pretty awesome. Other than that, just working and taking care of the family.
To tell us a little bit more about that coaching clinic. What were you guys doing?
Learning how to coach.
T was just showing him what's up. It's like this is
Yeah.
how it's done.
Just having a sweaty bald head, oily. Not so me and Will Hardy actually had some pretty cool interactions because I didn't raise my hand in one of the sessions because there is 7 or 8 stations, and every 20 minutes you rotated and learn, a different aspect of the game, offense, defense, conditioning, nutrition, breaking down film, all type of things like that. And then when it got to the film breakdown session, me and Will on first name basis now, we had a little banter back and forth. So he complimented my Outcast shirt, and it was a good time. And I got out of there safely, hiding my Detroit Pistons lanyard, not letting them know I'm actually a Pistons fan. I might actually just be a Jazz fan because of the coach himself. He expressed a lot of love for the game and just the way he looked at things. I resonated with a lot of that, or a lot of that resonated with me. So
Which
I might
Outcast
actually
was
be
it? Was
rooting
it one
for
of the album covers or Equimini?
Stankonia, one of the best albums. So that was that. That was an amazing experience. Got some pretty cool swag. This hat, a shirt, a hydro jug, cup, and some stickers.
How about you, Spence? Did you go back to your cover?
Yeah, I didn't really go back because I never really left. So it's like, nah, yeah, I stay mixing. Running every Friday night, Kalaputele Taifu up at the office. Reach out if anybody's in town, want to mix in Las Vegas on Friday. Um, Even if it's not a Friday, just reach out. We got somebody that can run it. But yeah, no, it's been good just going around town mixing and mixing at home after work and all that. But yeah, no, actually, I gave myself my own early birthday gift. I got myself one of those Kava-fied Tanoas. And I'm like, at first, I'm like, I don't know if I want a Tanoa that's made out of plastic, but I'm like, it's better than the wood varnish coming off into the Kava. So I'm like, it's the problem too with if you got a wood Tanoa Kumite out here in Las Vegas is it's so dry that everybody's looking for a way to keep the wood from cracking. And so because a lot of the guys they got like the kava shells and stuff to eat, or like the coconut shells to drink out of, those don't last too long. They all typically crack and break because it's so dry out here in the desert. And so some guys like you can rub like a vegetable oil or some kind of like food friendly oil that onto the wood surface to keep it from cracking. Some guys will leave like water in the kumete all week long so that it never dries out. It's like, but then you got to worry about warping and wood rot and all that. So I'm like, you know what, the food safe plastic, I'll try that out. But he calls it a tanoa. I don't think it's a tanoa because tanoas have like a lot of legs all around the bowl, right? The ones that only have 4 or 5 legs, that's a kumete. That's the Tongan one, right?
Or you got that Pizza Hut thing they used to stick in the middle.
Yep, exactly.
Well, for me, I've been very busy doing stuff other than work. I've been planning this youth resource fair that's coming up on September 13th. I'm excited for that. We have 20 plus exhibitors, and these are just local organizations and businesses who are there to provide resources for our youth and family. So I'm excited for that. Today, I can't talk too much about the situation, but we went down to Draper and got an attorney for my daughter's slip and fall situation. So we actually lawyered up, but I'll probably talk more about it when the whole case is over. But that's just me. Oh, and I finally started. I went to the gym once 2 days ago, and it's been months since I've stepped foot on the gym, and mainly because I've started my weight loss. I saw a weight loss doctor, and she gave me all these supplements, and I'm taking like Farxiga, which is a weight loss medication. It's not one of those. I think they're called GLP ones,
Oh
but
yeah, the
but
GL1s.
yeah, GL ones. But I'm taking medication before I even get to that point, and so far it's working for me. What this does is I just pee out all the sugar for this medication. So I'm taking DHEA, DIM, D3, all these supplements along with it to just help me with my metabolism, convert estrogen to testosterone. That way I'm not, building a lot of estrogen and store too much fat. So it's a long process, but I started that weight loss journey to kind of help me out because it is a stigma to take weight loss medications and all that stuff. And I'm one of those people that try to break it. I've been fat for a very long time, and I want to try to improve my health so I can live a little bit longer and do some good things and spend some time with family. So that's on my end. But let's start off with an icebreaker. I'm going to strip away the irrelevant details to kind of focus on the important facts of the situation that's happening here in Utah. It probably happened in other states, but I don't care about the other states. So, how would you feel if you bought a $120 VIP ticket to see your favorite band, only to have the venue change last minute from a hotel ballroom to a community center? How would you guys feel? Me just giving you the facts straight up without um in giving you guys too much details.
So the issue is that they were selling tickets for hotel ballroom, and people are mad because now it changed to a cultural center. Okay, so my I don't know what people are mad about, honestly, because if it was me, first off, it's not like like a cultural hall is that much different from a hotel ballroom. In fact, cultural hall actually has a stage, where a ballroom you just got to set up like a little makeshift platform typically, but it might have more space in the ballroom. But that's another thing. If you're really a fan of this group and a fan of this function, I would feel like that's better bang for your buck because you get closer to the act. Like, instead of being in some big concert hall where the group is so far away from you, it's like you're right there in front in the same room with them, basically. So it's like, oh, if I'm a fan of this group, I have a higher chance of actually interacting with the group or the performers. So to me, I'm just like, uh what difference does it make? I would almost think that that's a better option, because like I'm a like T and I have talked about how we're fans of hip hop, and I'm a fan of a lot of like underground acts. And that's the cool thing about a lot of the underground acts and the indie groups, is that they don't book these big giant venues. So whenever I've gone, I get like a regular general admission ticket, but at the end of the show, they're all just hanging out on the end of the stage. I get to actually interact with them. And I'm like, if that was like a big mega group and I was in a much bigger venue, you got to pay a VIP pass to get that kind of access to them. So I'm like, I don't know. Depends on what you're going for. If you want to go to just like have a good experience with the group, hey, downgrading it to a cultural hall might actually be a good thing. But that's just me.
I guess part of it deals with the experience. Like you speaking on from some of the comments I've read that are still there from the venue change announcement, that apparently there's some VIP type tickets, and that's what some of these people are upset about because they know that they knew the venue and they felt as if the VIP experience was worth it, and now they're a bit upset that it's gone from there to, what was it, the Stake Center, the whole building. I mean,
I have no idea on the details of the building.
if they, unless they change like a former Relief Society room into a VIP suite, and add some digital stuff in there to make it that cool, but they won't. Then I could understand, but I understand some of the gripes. People, they're paying for this experience, but then the flip side can be like, oh, this for charity, for fundraising, you devil. You don't want to build a church, you greedy bastard. No. Yeah, in the spirit of honesty though and integrity, they should return the money to those who pay for VIP, and all of a sudden the venue change. So it's no longer that VIP. So then therefore the pricing should reflect the experience they're getting if they decide to still go.
Yeah, as someone who hosts events for the community, I'm not there on the concert level, but for me, I would have just canceled the event if there was a sudden venue change because I don't want my guests to experience something that I didn't promote or advertise. To me, that would be considered false advertising because it didn't live up to the expectations that I've been promoting this event. And that's just me, and I like to kind of because this is more of a cultural event. I wouldn't say cultural, but because this is more on our Samoan artists, I like to support our people, and with that support, we can't be one leg in, one leg out when it comes to these type of things. But I do understand the complaining of people when you pay for an experience. We it comes from our pockets. It comes from our hard earned work. We get paid. Some people get paid $15 an hour, and it's a lot for them. It's not easy, especially in this economy. Affording a ticket that much, over $100 for a ticket. I know a Taylor Swift concert would cost what, 5 grand, 3 grand, but on this level, even people are, especially our people, we're always complaining. Even if something is free, they'll still want a refund on something that's free. But let's move on to our topic for today is Faalavelave. We've mentioned and talked about this. We've had discussions in the very first episodes on what Faalavelave is, but I'm gonna put it out to you guys. How would you explain Faalavelave to someone unfamiliar with Samoan culture? We're gonna start from the beginning.
Mr. Tan, President, why don't you explain it to us more Palangi centric guys here raised stateside?
See, I wanted to hear you guys' input first before I put it out there.
He wants us to embarrass ourselves first before he
But
sets
wait,
the
wait, wait.
records.
This is not an embarrassment because what I'm trying to do here is educate people, especially those who are not very familiar with a Faalavelave. Well, see, even if I grew up Samoan, I still mess up saying that word. Faalavelave. I want it from you guys' perspective, not from my perspective. Even though I grew up on an island, I still don't know much about Faalavelave. So, what do you guys think?
Sounds like communism to me. No, I was just kidding. No, it's my experience with Fire Lovey Lovey is basically it's the concept of the family bands together financially or in some way to help out the family if somebody is basically like if somebody passes away. Faalavelave, because this is my direct experience with it, is I have family members all over stemming from Samoa, and either family in Samoa or Australia or New Zealand or wherever we've like expanded out to. If somebody passes away, it's almost like this network where everyone reaches out and they send in a certain amount of money, and it's always been a big deal. So like, you know, growing up stateside and Afakasi, like I would sometimes the Samoan parts of the more cultural aspects of Samoan culture, I wouldn't hear too much about because my mom wanted us to not feel confused growing up in the states and like basically mixing up American way of life and Samoan way of life. But whenever Vai Lave Lave popped up, that was when it was like, no, hey, you do it the old way. You don't just send some money to say, "Hey, we're thinking of you." It's like, no, there is a set amount of money that they basically assign family members. Now, in the case of ours, that set amount may not even come from the person who was affected by the loss. Like, so I have someone who passed away on the island. They're not the ones setting the price point for hey what they need sent in. Typically, it would be the family matriarch in that area, like growing up in 29 Palms, that was my auntie Alice or somebody. It would basically be on them to rally the funds for all the family in the 29 Palms, California area. And so then my mom, who, like I said, didn't entrench us in Samoan culture a lot, all of a sudden it was like, no, you have to raise this amount. And then even as an adult, my mom is basically my connection to that side of the family. And if, let's say, they're low on funds or whatever, my mom is reaching out to me and my siblings to help raise a set amount according to her that we need to send and support. And so, but I know in the old days on the island, it was not money based. It was just more like, hey, we all band together and like bring food, bring whatever could support the family in this time of need. But in the modern day, with everybody expanded out, money seems to be the way that they try to run the 511 levy. That's my experience with it.
Yeah. Usually it's what during funerals, weddings, other events where the community comes together, and then it's also where I recognize people, close family or friends, having some of the biggest headaches. Trying to band together to make sure the event they're hosting is good, whether it's a celebration of marriage or a celebration of life. But then with that, even though everybody's coming here and contributing this and that, I also see the unwritten words, the written code of, hey, you come from this family, you didn't give this much. Well, I gave this much, and I'm, from a lesser status, so that means I'm better than you. The type of pride exchange that where nobody says out loud, but underneath people are talking this and that. Never really bothered me much since my parents dealt with most of it, and even if they didn't like it, they never really showed their distaste for it, disdain. But I mean, I know there's a lot of people that talk about it. Me, on the other hand, I give what I can. Don't try to flex. Everything's from the heart and the soul. Anybody making fun of my contributions, don't really care. They're not signing my paychecks or doing anything for me. So I'm good.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See how that was very easy to break down and explain to our listeners. See, it wasn't hard, right? So, but
So what did we get wrong? What did we get wrong?
I'm very hard.
there is no wrong answer when it comes to this, right? Everyone gets a participation trophy in defining Faalavelave because everyone goes through different experiences, especially us who are living here in the mainland of the USA. We don't go through the same experience as those back in the islands, still practicing this more often than we do. But a Faalavelave is an important Samoan tradition that refers to major family events like weddings, funerals, and chiefly title and ceremonies where the whole family and the community come together to help and support each other. The word fa'avelave literally means interruption. So it just shows how these events temporarily disrupt daily life and require a collective effort, both emotionally and financially, because it affects us. Sometimes when we hear the word "follow love," it causes some PTSD, and it makes some of us angry, brings up some bad memories and some good memories. But taking part in a follow love is a way to show love, respect, and commitment to our family. It's also a way of reinforcing, our Samoan values like ainga, which is the Samoan word for family, and tautua, which is Samoan word for service. So today, even Samoans, um, like us, who are living far away from home or in more busy modern lives, I would call it modern lives, find ways to honor these traditions while balancing our personal and financial responsibilities. But on that same note of financial responsibilities, how would you feel? Because Faalavelave is often about supporting family events. How would you feel if you were expected to contribute to an event you weren't part of?
Yeah, man, that's basically been my experience, because but that's kind of on me. We send in money to participate in like a funeral that I won't attend, but that's kind of on me because I haven't been back to the island since I was 4 years old. I always keep meaning to go, but just one delay after another, usually financial reasons. I can't make it back. But that's why, like, when I was younger, I was happy when my mom would ask us to gather money because it was one of the few ways that I could participate in my Samoan family's culture and their way of doing things. So, in some ways, like, I was just kind of honored that I was able to participate in this one little way, because I do have love in my heart for my family and on the island, even though I haven't been back to visit you in so long. And, they come to the States periodically. I see them then, but, you know, I got love for them. And so I'm happy to participate in it if it helps them, let them know they're not forgotten.
Yeah, I'm along those same lines. Like a lot of my family's New Zealand and Australia bound. They all made their little exodus from Samoa to that side. But I've had the opportunity to meet some of my awesome cousins. My memory pretty fuzzy, since all that was back in like 95, 96. But I still got mad love for all of them. And the other cousins that I got to kick it with in, was it '07, down in the Hastings. So it was Auckland, Wellington, Hastings area, different time frames. And I can't remember them all off the top of my head, their names and certain memories, who said what to what. But I would gladly, support, as long as, whatever contribution I give, they receive it in the same spirit that I give it. Sorry, I got 4 kids. I got 2 with autism. I suck with some of my decision making when it comes to going to the store hungry. Yeah, and then sometimes we like nice things. So sorry if I don't exactly save up or are aware of these events coming up. And sorry, it's not such a huge contribution, but I understand that I'm supporting in the way I can, and I still got love for everybody. And even though I may not remember, because like when my grandmother passed away a year ago, man, like seeing all them around there, I was and me wanting to support, but it's like I didn't know my grandmother. I met her back in '96. You know, none of my grandparents really spoke English, and then just seeing them, I was sad because she was my grandmother, but at the same time, mm, to be honest, sort of a stranger, and I'm kind of jealous of all them being able to experience that. But in the same way, I still support them emotionally in any way I can. And same thing when my mom's sister died years ago. I sent money, did what I could. I couldn't really flex nothing, but to get back to your question, my heart's always tied to my family, and just as long to narrow it all down, as long as they receive it in the same spirit that I give it, and everything's all good.
I think you guys are good people because I am very much the opposite way because I don't know when the switch flipped. Maybe it was a few years ago. I don't know, but now when it comes to Faalavelave, if I am a stranger to you, you are a stranger to me. I don't give a damn about you because I love my family, but if I haven't met you personally, my immediate and extended family, if I have not met you personally or spent time talking to you in the past, I I am not like my wife. My wife tries to connect the dots and find out if you're her 10th, 11th, 100th cousin. I am not like that. I keep my circle very close and I like it that way. Mainly because it is a headache trying to know more and more people. I don't know how my wife can do it, but for me, smaller the circle, the better life is. And I don't have to worry about who's passing away unless they're my parents, siblings, and close cousins. Then I actually care about them. But even I have cousins I don't even know who they are. I only know them on Facebook, but I don't think that counts. Just because you're a Facebook friend doesn't mean we've actually built that familial relationship. But that's on that's just my way of thinking to make my life easier because my walls go up because I'm getting to that point. Even though I'm broke, people still ask me for money. It makes no sense. Just because I'm doing things, doing charity and all that stuff doesn't mean I'm rich. So I'm putting it out to my family. But it's mostly not my family asking for money. It's people from high school, people who from the village, when childhood. I don't know what would cause people to ask me for money. I think I put off that wrong vibe that I'm a millionaire and I make a lot of money. But anyways, enough of my rambling. Why do you guys think certain traditions like Faalavelave are important to keep in in our community? Or if it's even important at all to you?
Michael's really on that blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb kick again, but no, I get where you're coming from. But I've kind of spoken on this a few times before, where I imagine our ancestors from the island, right? And they could probably in the last, maybe 2-3 generations ago, they're probably looking at like our interactions with Palangis and seeing that, hey, it's a viable thing for our kids to basically move off the island and go to these other big lands that these other people are from. And I wondered if those ancestors would have looked at that and felt concerned, because it's like, if they go out into this big vast world and become a part of the global family, what are the chances they're going to remember our island and our ways, and basically over time forget where they came from, forget who basically ushered in their existence. And so to me, it's important to remember these traditions and into some way at least acknowledge them and honor them to some degree, because I feel like it is what binds us to our ancestors. It's our way of respecting them and saying, hey, we're part of the global family now, but we haven't forgotten where we come from. We are still a part of your legacy. And even though it's something minuscule or petty or whatever, there's, obviously, like, we'll change with the times just like everybody does, but it is important to uphold some old things, to just to respect where we came from. So I think even things like Faalavelave, my bigger concern with Faalavelave though is like, throughout my life, like T said, like you said, like sometimes I'm getting hit up by family members I never knew I even had, and I'm happy to participate in supporting them. But my there's always a nagging thought in the back of my brain, and forgive me if this is petty, but it's like, my dad is Palangi, and my dad married into this Samoan family, and he's embraced everything that's come with it, including Faalavelave. When he goes someday, are these same family members that I never heard of who are reaching out for me to participate, is it going to go the same way back? Now, I know that my Samoan family who knows my dad, they will honor him and all that. But I'm like, if this is a one-way street where the Faalavelave goes one way, but because your dad's white, it doesn't apply to him, that's going to be a big deal breaker for me in the future, where I'm like, after all my dad's done to be a full participant in this family, if you burn him like that, it's not about me wanting to collect. It's about showing him the same respect he showed you. Now, I don't have any reason to doubt that that would be the case, so I'm not even trying. Please don't think that I'm throwing my family under the bus like that. But I'm like, I do want, it's a gnawing thought in the back of my head, because I wouldn't even know who to track. But it's like, my whole life we've family members come out of the woodworks, then they need help, and we're happy to help. But I hope this is a two-way street.
I think these traditions were started to keep structure within the community, especially in times of interruption or crisis. It's there for the people to be there for one another. And though it may have its great intentions or its great parts, there's always going to be that sneaky, greedy guy finding an opportunity, within this to make it about himself or make it about profit. You're always going to have those sneaky little snakes in the grass, and those are the kind of people that mess it up for others. But I'll say, like, I like it in that sense for trying to keep the community strong. Like, one thing I greatly admire is the people from Laie, that community, those Laie boys, or or whatever. That community is so strong, even if they're not all Samoan. Like, I think it was when the one brother from Nadrua passed away, Jonah. I think everybody right away went to go and take care of his wife, cut the grass, take the trash out, take care of any needs. And not just him, not just isolated to him. Like, you see it a lot with a lot of our older, respectful OGs in the community. Anytime there's some sort of passing or crisis, they always rush to go either take food, sing, make blessings, take care of the yard, take care of the house, whatever is needed, they're there. So, I mean, the spirit of that love and wanting to keep structure and being there for one another, I greatly admire that, and I like to believe that's why those traditions were instilled and put in place within our communities, our villages. But then you're always going to find the people who want to take the opportunities or find the loopholes to make things about self. And that sucks. But I'm one person who tends to focus more on the good because the bad is always going to be there. But I mean, if you amplify it that much, that's only when it becomes that big of a problem.
Yeah, I think it's very important to keep this tradition because it keeps us humble in the aspect that, you're reminded of how broke you are. No, I'm kidding. So, what I mean by it keeps us humble is, there are many ways to serve in a Faalavelave. And our people is mainly about respect and service. So you can serve by assisting in the kitchen, by assisting, it doesn't have to be financially. You give resources, you give your connections, you give however you can help your family, either at a funeral, a wedding. You can DJ at a wedding. You can do all these types of services for during a Faalavelave. So it's not mainly focused on the bad aspects of the Faalavelave, but on like what T said, the good things that can come from a Faalavelave. All your family. For some people, this is the only way that you get together as a family. Instead of doing a family reunion, sometimes these things will bring you together. A wedding, a funeral, or getting bestowed on a Thai title, or anything. It can be anything, but the main focus is helping your family in times of need. Now I want to go to a very important question. Is it ever acceptable to say no to a Faalavelave request? And what happens if someone declines?
I mean, I guess it's all circumstantial, but if the circumstance is I'm just broke right now, I got to put food on the table for my family. I got medical bills to pay. I think that should definitely be a legit time where it's like, hey man, I can't do it. Like I wish I could. My heart's with you, but I have my immediate obligations. That should, in my mind, trump those things. It's because Faalavelave should be, in my mind, I could be wrong, but give if you can. Well, yeah, we need it, but if you can't, we understand. It's like show love in some other way, but that's just me.
I just want to clarify that I have no right to talk bad about this whatsoever, since my experience in dealing with it is very limited. And I am not talking about it. I'm just giving a perspective. But on this question, sure. I mean, because you don't want me to show up with a bunch of nothing or the lowest quality, poorest quality of whatever. I mean, all I can offer are services, or even there may be something else going on in the background of whoever's life that's being asked to contribute. Sorry. Yeah. That's all I got on that.
Well, I'm going to add a little bit more. It is acceptable to say no. Just mute your face group chat. Maybe go off social media for a little bit. Maybe turn off your phone when someone messages you. Just you can say no. But on another side, I know back at home, some families are very serious about this because a situation happened to a family member of mine that involves these types of things. Stand your ground when you say no, but at the same time, tread carefully because there are families that will attack you. It is one of the roots of domestic violence that, it's part of our culture that we don't talk a lot about, especially those who hold higher, chiefly titles in the village. They kind of get it up in their head that they're up there and people should be giving them money to support a Faalavelave. Please do it safely and stand your ground and report these kind of things, especially, that's domestic violence when you try to, decline a request to give money during a Faalavelave. But the answer for me is no. It is acceptable for some, a lot of us won't get beat up for saying no, but for those who are in these kind of situations back, especially back at home, there are some consequences if you deal with a Matai who thinks they're they're up in their high horse and trying to think that just because they hold a title or something in the community that they should be given that. So do you guys think that there are other cultures in the world that practice something similar to a Samoan Faalavelave? I'm not sure if you guys have heard of any other.
You mean outside of like even other islanders? Because I know like that's the thing is a lot of cultural. There's a lot of cultural beats in Samoan culture that's not even completely unique to them. Where like Tongans will have a similar practice, Fijians and whatnot. I can't speak to exactly what those are in relation to Faalavelave, but I believe that a lot of the island cultures are pretty similar.
I think any cultures that had people living in within close proximity, like villages or tribes, definitely had the same type of structure implemented to survive.
Yeah, same as you guys. I'm not sure what other cultures are out there that would practice something similar to a Faalavelave, but I think if there are, it would be on a lesser scale than how the Samoans practice it. It'll just be like a meeting between families and see if people have money to pitch in for like a funeral or something like that. But other than that, I think it's very unique to Samoans that we practice the Faalavelave. Now, how do you guys think families can honor Faalavelave traditions while avoiding financial strain or resentment?
Well, there's always that. It's a popular saying. Like, there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Well, what's the spirit of the law? What was this actually meant to do? Like, the spirit of it all is we're here to show our family that we remember them, and we're here to honor the loved one that passed and honor the family by taking care of them. That care doesn't have to come in the way of money because remember, Faalavelave stems all the way back before we had like currency, before we started getting involved in dollars and cents and all of that. Faalavelave was here's a blanket, here's a mat, here's some food, here's this and that. Like it's a point is what is it that we can give to assure the family that we love them and we haven't forgotten them and to show that support. I feel like the biggest thing you can donate is your time. Like, hey, you need help watching your kids. Hey, you need uh, help prepping for the funeral. Like, just there's so many ways to help, and sometimes better ways to help than just by giving money. I think it's actually a problem, not just with Phi Lave Lave or familial stuff, but I think even just like macro scale, like cultural things. I'm not talking just on one culture, like any modern culture. The problem with a lot of modernity is that we think by throwing money at a problem, we're fixing a problem. By just throwing money at it, like that's enough, and I don't have to put any real effort in to helping fix my community or do anything. So yeah, I think it all starts in the heart, and the heart of it all. Are we really like what can we offer to help the family? I mean, and it doesn't always have to be money.
Yep, ditto. Give your heart, and if you're faced with backlash, um, just overcome with your heart. You, no matter what, uh, go along with a lot of what Spencer says, and I think that's all you can really do. Because I mean, unless you're a super millionaire or you got it like that, somebody's always going to say something. Nothing you can do about the negativity. It's always going to be there. So just give your heart.
Just give them the old Elon Musk, your heart to them. But however you want to signal that,
Or you can just be like me once the word Faalavelave is mentioned. Who? Faalavelave? What's that? And just turn to the side, mute everything, pretend you don't exist. But no, I'm kidding. The simplest way to honor is to tell the truth and be clear about your stance on Faalavelave. If you're broke, just tell people that you can't afford to pitch in. If you're not able to participate or get involved, just tell them you can't get involved in all that stuff. No need to create headaches or get headaches from Faalavilaves. Just be straight up, and at least you walk away with a clear mind, and all that stuff. But I'm gonna stray a little bit from our topic. This question that came up, and I want to get you guys personal experience perspective on this question. But are there personal experiences where you felt disconnected from your Samoan identity because of language barriers? I know for me, I grew up in American Samoa. I spoke the Samoan language only with my family, but at school I spoke English. Basically, I spoke Samoan with closer friends, people around the village and stuff. But at school, it was bilingual or mostly English. But I've always felt disconnected from my Samoan identity because I grew up, being Samoan and Chinese. Because of the way that I look, everyone always gets surprised when I speak Samoan because I do not look like that brown Samoan skin, that Samoan boy causing trouble in the village. My eyes are too, almost closed sometimes. But yeah, I've always felt disconnected because of language barrier. Up till today, even until now, I know I spoke Samoan fluently growing up, but now I've lost a lot of the language. Sometimes when I try to have conversation with my mom, I speak that, you know, it starts to get broken Samoan. It's not broken English, it's broken Samoan. I start to add in English words, even though some of those words my parents might not understand. But it I don't know why. I think it's because that I don't speak Samoan often that I lose the language, and that is a thing. If you don't use it, you lose it. But that is my personal experience is from being disconnected to my Samoan identity. Sometimes I don't feel Samoan because of the way I look as a Afakasi, but then I know deep down in my heart that I am Samoan. I rep that, Samoa, but how about you guys?
I mean, I never spoke it fluently, but to me, is like I don't know. Like when I was younger, I wish I could speak it. I still wish I could speak it, but it's more like it's a personal thing that I hold myself to. It's a bar I want to hold myself to. I don't feel excluded from my own family, and that's just the case. Even growing up, I was typically like the Palangi boy or whatever, but that was just my designation. Nobody was disowning me or making me feel bad about being half white. Like I grew up with my Samoan cousins. We all grew up in the States. None of them could speak Samoan. A few of them did figure it out. And that was the crazy part is some of my cousins, like, they learned to speak like Fa Samoan not because they were taught, but because they put it together by listening to the adults, listening to Samoan songs. I'm like, man, I'm not that smart. Like, did you ever see the 13th Warrior? like with Antonio Banderas, who he's playing an Arab, but he's an Arab traveling with these Vikings, and he doesn't speak their language. And there's a scene where he's just sitting around the campfire, and then he hears one of them like talking crap about him, and then he insults him back and makes fun of his mom. And then the other Vikings are like, "Where did you learn our words?" He's like, "I listened." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not that smart. I can't just. I've listened to Samoan my whole life and never pieced it together." But I mean, it is what it is. I look in the way I do. I may get considered poly or not. It doesn't really matter to me anymore because I know my family. I know where I'm from. What somebody else perceives me as does not concern me anymore. I'm proud of my heritage, regardless, and no one's going to take that from me. And that goes for both sides of my family. So, yeah, when I was younger, I struggled with that more, where I felt like I was ostracized. But I kind of realized as I got older that only matters if you care about what other people think of you. And as I got older, I just don't. And so I am what I am, like Popeye said, and that's all there is to it. You know.
Oh, no, no. Because I know who my parents are. I know where I come from. I know the blood is in my veins. Whether I learn the language tomorrow and all of a sudden become part of traditions, or just die and you see my obituary or somebody shouting out on Facebook, rest in peace to the Uso. Nothing changes. One thing I do wish, though, is, during the wisdom that's being passed on in the language. That part, I do wish I spoke the language and could understand what's going on, during these deep moments when, all the OGs are standing up during a wedding or a funeral and expressing this or that. But even during those moments, I don't feel disconnected from my identity. The spirit's there. I know there's important things being said and expressed, but no, I know what I am. I wish I was more connected to our Chinese side, from that village, but I guess attribute it more just knowing who my parents are and where they came from. I inherited a lot of their goodness and their heart, and as long as I have that within me and can pass that on to my children, and I'm cool, man.
And that's the great thing about growing up is we grow up and we realize that a lot of these things that we've put too much thoughts in are very useless. It's very important for us to put our energy on things that matter, like taking care of our families, paying the bills, and taxes. But thank you very much to our listeners for tuning into this episode of Behind the Lava Lava. If you enjoyed this episode, please go to our social media page, like and follow us, even on our YouTube. We really appreciate you tuning in. We also want to thank all our partners and sponsors for our foundation. We want to thank everyone who stood by us from the very beginning. From Tai to the Lava, this is Behind the Lava Lava, Tofa Soifua.
Working on my interests, it's who I am. I'm trying to make these digits look like EINs. When the help ain't free, you all help me. Salute to folks who turn their names to LLCs. The wealth is in itself to help a non-profit. To be better women or better men, whether business by veterans or common folks with a dream. We're all born with the same strength. We tread waters that were untouched. Let's be on the same wavelength. Behind the lava, front of our eyes. Let our legacy live off it when we're up in the sky. All signs point to us to help someone make a difference. With God as my witness, let's talk business.